So last night happened, and Doug Jones defeated Roy Moore in the United States Senate special election to replace Jeff Sessions from the state of Alabama. And that was something that I didn't even expect myself. I expected Roy Moore to win around 5 to 10%. I didn't expect a Doug Jones victory. And the reason behind it was a multitude of events and things that definitely changed the outcome of the race later on in the election. If this was any other election and Roy Moore had no allegations behind him, he probably would have won. The margin I said he would have 5 to 10%, but the allegations definitely brought him down, and as did President Trump. And if you look at the map here, we're gonna look at why we were wrong about Alabama and how Doug Jones was able to win. If we look at the Black Belt, we have a lot of Democratic counties. However, it wasn't as heavy as it was for people like Hillary Clinton. Let's go look at the Alabama map for in 2016. Look at all that red. You switch over to the 2017 special election map, there is a lot more blue. If you look at it and you just look at the 2012 map here, there's maybe a couple more counties that are blue. However, Doug Jones outperformed Barack Obama on the state level of Alabama, and he did very well, and he won in a state like Alabama, the fifth most conservative state in the union, voted a Democrat into the United States Senate last night, and that was very surprising. A big thing to point out here, counties like Montgomery County, 61% of the vote here, huge portion of Alabama's population for one area. Doug Jones got 72% of the vote here. He defeated Roy Moore handedly in this area. Going up to Birmingham, he got 68% of the vote, while in 2016, Hillary Clinton got 51%. Going over to other counties that flipped, Madison County, 56.9% for Doug Jones. 17% difference between him and Roy Moore. Donald Trump won that county with 54.8% of the vote, 55 if you round it. Going down to Mobile, a very previous conservative county, Doug Jones won 56.3% of the vote. Donald Trump won 55% of the vote. And in the year 2012, Mitt Romney also got 54% of the vote. Now, the reason why a lot of these counties flipped, like Tuscaloosa, where Doug Jones got 57% of the vote, while in 2016 Donald Trump got 57% of the vote, was because of the African American turnout. Democrats used Donald Trump as a way to propel them into the Senate seat here. I did not expect this by any means. Looking at the polls again were wrong. If we look at the polling between the two general election candidates in the 2017 special election, right now it didn't even show that Doug Jones pretty much the consistent lead for Roy Moore is what threw me off. I didn't pay attention to these last-minute SurveyMonkey polls, and the reason behind it was because SurveyMonkey is honestly not that intuitive. They don't necessarily have the best polls. Fox News gave Doug Jones 50%, and that's almost the exact margin he won. Whereas all the other polls showed Roy Moore ahead consistently, other than when those allegations first dropped. And that was a crazy event. This is probably not going to happen unless we have another president like Donald Trump, where there's a huge referendum. But if we look at the map and all that blue that was added, it was because of African American turnout and Donald Trump. Donald Trump definitely did far better than Roy Moore. However, Roy Moore losing was a combination of him being a bad candidate and the fact that Donald Trump's approval rating was low. 48% of voters disapproved of his job as president, while 48% approved, so it was a pretty much even split. It was less than 50% of Republicans that voted. A lot of independents voted, and they chose Doug Jones. Overall, he won by around 11,000 votes, and Roy Moore refuses to concede till today. He's going to try to call for a recount if it gets less than 0.5%. I don't think it will. But the reason why he won was because of the African American vote. This is how Democrats win. They need to get out their base to vote. They have approximately 84 million registered nationwide, yet got 65 million in 2016. This is a sign for Democrats that they need to get out to vote. When they get out to vote, they can compete in any state. Democrats may be coming up to compete in states like Tennessee, which just got moved to the toss-up after the former governor announced he is going to run for the Democratic nomination for Tennessee's Senate race to replace Bob Corker. That moved to a toss-up, another opportunity for the Democrats. But let's compare it to 2012 and 2016. And the reason why I compare it to 2012 is because Roy Moore is a little bit more like Mitt Romney, and the black vote definitely should be amplified considering it's Barack Obama running on this time around rather than Hillary Clinton. Either way, Barack Obama got 38.4% of the vote. Not that good, considering that he is an African American president, and he should have necessarily won in other counties. Talladega County, 50% of the vote for Doug Jones. This county voted for Romney with 57% and for Donald Trump. Donald Trump got 61% of the vote. It flipped to the Democratic side. Going to Lee County, 57% of the vote, 58% for Donald Trump. Chambers County, 56% of the vote for Donald Trump, 55% for Doug Jones. If you just look around the margins in the more Democratic areas like Birmingham, Jefferson County, Montgomery County, and then the wins in Mobile County, in Madison County, this is what propelled them to winning. And what we missed was a combination of polling factors, Alabama being a solid red state for years. This is the first time a Democrat has won in the state of Alabama since 1992, and a fun fact is that the last Democrat to win is the current other Republican senator from the state of Alabama, Richard Shelby, and now the United States Senate is favored, still in the Republicans, but it's 51-49, meaning it's Donald Trump has one less vote for the tax bill. And overall, the way that we missed it was because we underestimated African American turnout. The Secretary of State projected 25% turnout. It's more like 50%. And the reasoning behind it was African American turnout, Democratic turnout. The national news media attention of this race definitely propelled turnout. And overall, it paid off for the Democrats to go door to door. Roy Moore completely abandoned the campaign trail on the last week, and that definitely hurt him. If he focused a little bit more, he definitely could have won. It was only 11,000 vote gap, meaning another county, if you go up to Birmingham, if he won 11,000 more votes, or let's say 5,000 here, he won in parts of Mobile, got 5,000 more there, then he got, say, 2,000 more here from Baldwin County, he could have won. Baldwin County, 61% of the vote went for Roy Moore. If you go to 2016, Donald Trump got 76%. Roy Moore, on a drastic level, underperformed Mitt Romney and Donald Trump. In 2012, when he was on the ballot, against, I forgot his name, but he was against the ballot against a Democrat, he only got 52% of the vote in Alabama, whereas Mitt Romney got 60%. So he is already known to have underperform Republicans, and he did it drastically this time. The fact that Doug Jones is entering the United States Senate as a Democrat from Alabama shows that Democrats, as Hillary Clinton said, can compete in any part of the country. If anything, this is a big takeaway. It could be considered a win for both the Republican and Democratic Party. Definitely more for the Democratic Party. But if the Republicans had elected Roy Moore, it would not necessarily be a good thing, in my opinion. This would be brought up at every single race. And if Roy Moore was elected, his comments would reflect on the entire Republican Party, and he would be blamed. Now let's look at previous elections. Let's go down to the last competitive election against Jeff Sessions. As you can see, in 2014, he got 97% of the vote, so we won't cover that one considering he didn't have an opponent. However, in 2008, Barack Obama's peak year, Vivian Figueres, she is an African-American woman who definitely could drive out turnout, and she only got 36% against Jeff Sessions. And that's literally only the black belt that voted for her, and she even lost a couple counties. If you look at all this red here, just take a look at the red. I'll open it in a new tab so you can see the red. Let's go over to 2014, all that red, because he didn't have an opponent, and then you look at all this blue over here. There are a lot more things you need to notice when you look at Alabama. So if you look over here, all that red in 2014, and then you see a lot more blue. There was by far more blue in areas you would never even expect it. In Mobile, there was no blue in Mobile back then. Madison County, there was no blue up there. Jefferson County wasn't blue either. Overall, this is a big win for the Democrats. They won a Senate seat in the state of Alabama. The things that we missed was polling was out of whack. Again, like in 2016, consistent changes in polling. People were actually afraid to say they were voting for Doug Jones, apparently, rather than Roy Moore, which was unexpected. The fact that African-American turnout was underestimated. They expected 25% turnout. They got 50%. That was a big change. And overall, it's the state of Alabama and its dynamics. States can no longer be called based off their own past voting history, because that's not how it works under the Trump era. We've never seen something like this before, other than Barack Obama losing, a Democrat losing in Massachusetts in 2014, and that was, in 2009 with Scott Brown, but that was a drastic change, and this is even more drastic. It's in the state of Alabama, voting for a Democrat. It's just like Massachusetts, and we're seeing a huge referendum go up against the President Trump, and this is not going to work out well for President Trump in 2018. Major signs that we were getting at now is that Democrats will have the turnout they need to win in 2018. All Republicans need to do now is damage control. They have already lost the United States Senate. It is not going to be a contest. If they win in Missouri, Democrats will pick up Nevada and Arizona. Tennessee being a toss-up now. Texas, if Julian Castro runs in, it could become a toss-up. And the fact that a lot of old Democrats that won in conservative states are stepping up to run for more seats, that's definitely going to hurt the Republican Party. And the fact that the approval ratings of Democratic senators are rising higher while President Trump's approval ratings are getting lower, that's not going to help him either. So major takeaways from this: Democrats are probably going to win the Senate and the House in 2018, and it's something Republicans definitely need to worry about. Things that we missed: polling and underestimating the African American vote. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you all tomorrow.